Yeah, me too.
We always begin everything at Center for Spiritual Living with a spiritual mind treatment.
Yes.
So I invite you to take a breath, let it out, and take another breath, and continue to breathe deeply and easily as we move into that space of expanded awareness where we know and we know that we know. We know that there is something going on that is greater than we are, and yet somehow we are it. We know that whatever that something is, it connects us with every other being, every person, every place, every moment in time, every bit of information, wisdom, guidance, intuition. We are connected with it all. And so we breathe into that, let go of the sense of physical form, and we move into our vibration. We move into the light. We move into the love. And we know that this life reflects back to us that reflection that we are, that vibration that we are. And so our life manifests wisdom and intuition, health and wholeness, love and joy, prosperity and happiness of all kinds. We know that life reflects back to us that awareness that God is what we are and we are it. And so we're grateful. We're grateful for being a spiritual being in a spiritual universe governed by spiritual law. We are grateful for the prosperity and the health and the wholeness that is already ours. We are grateful for this class and for everyone in this room as we come together by divine appointment for this divine destiny. And in that sense of gratitude, we just let it go because we know we've done our work. We've known the truth. We've set law in motion. We've accepted. And now all we do is sit back and watch the world unfold in perfect joy as together we say, and so it is. Wonderful, wonderful. Welcome, welcome. It always fascinates me, Patricia. And so I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad that you're here. Yes, yes. I don't know. I just don't believe that 8 weeks is a long time. I don't know. I think that this class is the best thing on planet Earth. So I'm really glad that you share that feeling with me.
Yeah, we do. Definitely.
Because I think that when you come to Monday night classes, your life changes. Your life gets better and better. Coming on Sunday morning is great. It's great. But Sunday morning is more, I mean, unless John's talking and he's giving you homework, it's more inspiration. It's more, riding the wave and going for the ride and catching the vision. But class is where you get down and dirty and really look at yourself and see what is it that I'm willing to do and what is it that I'm doing that I'm no longer willing to do. And then those types of changes can be made. So last week, I felt like we were right there. Who was not here last week? Bob, Ann, Fran, Deb. Okay, well, just catch on. But last week, I feel like we really looked at what our blocks are, what we are willing to do to have the life that we want, and what maybe we do that keeps us from having that. And I'm wondering, what insights did you get from last week's class? Because I came on you pretty hard.
Yeah.
And I did. I said I wanted to go shake you. So what'd you come up with? Kathy.
Just do it. Just jump in and do it. And stop thinking about it so much. Just do it. Like I kind of wanted a foundation. And I guess, when is the foundation founded?
Right.
So just jump in and go for it and work every day with the practices that you're teaching us. You just do it.
Good, just jump in and do it. Don't wait until you have everything all figured out and put together Otherwise, you'll never do it.
That's right.
People say, well, I'll wait until I'm enlightened to start spiritual practice. That's backwards. Wonderful, thank you, Kathy. Who else? Heather.
I think for me it was, when you start talking about what keeps us from success, and I don't want to keep myself from success, I think that was like a big hit for me this week, and I've had some hurdles this week, but I've been able to deal with it a little bit better, rather than just going with the flow versus, this person's out against me, life is out against me, and just helped me deal with some things a lot better
Good,
throughout the week, so it was.
because no one's out to get you.
But I spent 32 years thinking that, so. 32 years.
Right, right.
So it was kind of a shift.
I remember back in the 70s when I first heard the concept that we're not afraid of failure, we're afraid of our success. And there was some kind of a self-help book called Fear of Success. And I went, well, that's ridiculous. And then I started to read it, and it was, oh, wow. Yes. Good for you, Heather. Wonderful. Who else? Who else had some kind of an epiphany? Kathy had another one.
I did. Let go of good if you want great.
Yes, let go of good if you want great. Yes, good enough. Good is the biggest enemy of great.
Great.
Wonderful. Darcy, Rick, and then Jane.
I really worked on being mindful of my thoughts throughout the week, and I found that I have some biases that probably aren't real good for me. I just found that if I was in disagreement with how things are done or how a certain person might be living their life, that I had some biases, and I thought, well, if we're all one and we're all equal, then this is a lie, that I should get rid of these thoughts, get rid of them.
Good.
Just treat everything like it's the same, it's equal.
Don't you just want to be spiritually superior?
I keep reminding myself in my daily treatment that God is equally in all of us, that He's in everything in the same measure, so everybody is on the same playing field equally.
Right. But don't we want to feel spiritually superior?
Sure, sure.
Jeez Louise, that reaction is such low consciousness. Really, riots again? Really? How are they going to have world peace if Baltimore can't even have peace? All of that internal dialogue that has us separating from other people as a way to defend our own sense of inferiority.
Yeah.
So good insight, Darcy.
Thank you.
Yes, Rick and then
Jane.
but didn't you have your hand up, Fran?
No.
No, Rick, Jane, and then Breezy.
Okay, well, I was really paying attention to my self-talk since then, and I found a lot of feelings of being less than and whatnot. I have, I guess, practiced them so well over the years that it's like riding a bicycle. You go through the self-talk about, the thought is almost not there now. It comes as a feeling. The thought is so quick, and I've caught that. So it's like taking Scotch tape off a piece of glass. You just kind of get the edge of it, and I realize that's what I'm doing. And
What is what you're doing?
that I've practiced it so well that I don't really have to consciously think the thoughts of being less than or undeserving.
Right.
That the feeling just sort of comes, and I said, no, it doesn't just come, it's just I've practiced it so well that I don't pay any attention to it now.
Right, it's automatic.
Now, look at where these feelings come from. Well, they come from these thoughts that
Right.
I'm not really paying attention to.
Right, so what does that have to do with the Scotch tape? I'm trying to get the analogy.
Well, just peeling it, trying to get a piece of Scotch tape on a piece of glass. It's so transparent that you don't.
Okay, so the thoughts are the Scotch tape.
Yes.
And what you gotta do is pick at them until you can get a hold of it and peel it off.
Once you realize it's there, it's like, oh, that's what I'm doing.
Okay, good. When we go on automatic, when we connect with our they're not unconscious, but I wanna say unconscious because we're not consciously aware of them. There are subconscious thoughts and feelings. And when we just give up conscious control of our lives, then that other part of us will take over. And not only that part, but then that part is connected with everybody on the subjective side of life, all of race consciousness. And the race is not doing that well in terms of, I'm a powerful, creative, spiritual being, anything is possible, love is the only reality, and I'm gonna transcend this condition and love the hell out of it. Most of the race is not doing that, so when we give up our own control, then not only do we fall into the abyss of our own past unconscious thoughts and feelings, but we connect with all of the unconscious thoughts and feelings of everybody else. So good, find that tape and pick at it till you get the edge of it and pull it up. Good for you. Jane?
Well, I'm always working on my mornings, which are not my strong point, and I had sit down and focus on what I'm creating. That's what I'd written, and what I was trying to do, declare the day that you're going to have, and also if you're affirming a future event, make it happening right now.
Good for you, Jane.
So
Look
just
at you just taking this teaching and using it.
try.
Good, you're not trying, you're doing.
Thank you.
Yeah, good for you, Jane. Breezy.
I stopped just planning and started doing.
Wonderful. Was planning your way of not doing?
No, I just would get too detailed in it and just put it off until I had everything set.
You and Kathy. Yes, I'm not gonna take action until I feel like I've got it all together. Good, good. Tom?
I was just thinking about the good and great thing, and right after, like, my music career was doing real well, and I played at Madison Square Garden, and I was on TV, everything, and I thought, I'm a great musician. Somebody came along and said, well, he's good, but he's not great, and that screwed me up for like a number of years. It just messed in my head until I just played for myself and didn't worry about people-pleasing thing.
Yeah. Good is the biggest enemy of great, has nothing to do with people pleasing. It's inside of ourselves. When you learn how to play music, did you say I want to be a mediocre musician?
Well, no.
No? No, you went for it. Yes, and that's why you're a great musician. Yeah, good for you, good for you. What we have to do is we have to see when we fall short in our own willingness to go for what we want, fear of success, not fear of failure, and how we use the cop-out, well, this is good enough, to be able to say, I really won't push it to the end, to the limit. I really won't go for it. I really won't do what I know I need to do for me. I'll just make it tolerable. Not happy, just not totally miserable, just so I can tolerate it. And that's what good is in terms of good to great. So good. Anybody else? Darcy?
One thing, that article that was in last month's Science of Mind, or this month's Science of Mind, was talking about how it's so much easier to stay in the same train of thought. It's harder to make a change, but that our minds get bored really easily. And so that our challenge is to accept challenges and shake it up a little bit, because otherwise we're going to get bored and we're not going to challenge ourselves to do any better. So I thought that was really useful.
Good.
And it seems like all the successful people are the ones that challenge themselves to be more, do more, have more. They find a way.
Right. I heard a story about Werner Erhard once. He was the guy who created S,
Yes.
and how he stayed up all one night going through a glass container of shells, examining each and every one of them. If they had a tiny flaw, he would set them aside, and he took all of the perfect ones and put them back in the glass container, perfectly arranged to his liking. Now that's a little obsessive, but he created a huge work. I mean, he was totally screwed up and is not allowed back in his country without being charged for crimes. But he created this big organization, touched thousands and thousands of people's lives. It's still going on with, it's not the forum, is it Legacy?
Landmark.
No, it's not
Landmark Forum.
Landmark it is now, it's Landmark. It went from Est to, I think to Legacy, to the Forum, to Landmark, as it's continued to evolve. But he was like, any little thing, he just couldn't leave it alone. And I'm not saying we should be like that, because he took it to the obsessive limit, but still, how many things in our lives do we just go, oh, I know I should put gas in my car, but really, it's gonna be okay, until we're, you know, darn, or something like that. I know I shouldn't be going out with this person, or I should be getting up a little bit earlier and having a little more conscious morning before my day starts, something like that. How often do we look at that and say, no, I'm just gonna not look at that because everything is manageable right now. And then we go, well, why haven't my dreams manifested? Because everything is manageable. And what is it? If your palms aren't sweating, you're not going nearly fast enough. So when you want to go for your dreams, things do have that different connections in your brain. You have different ways of thinking. You have different things going on. You have more balls up in the air to juggle because everything is changing, and off you go. So good, I'm glad you did some stuff last week. I am. This is the 8th, this is the last class. I don't know if it's the 8th class or not. This is the last class of Creative Mind and Success. Before this, we had Creative Mind, so we've had about 4 months of some very basic science of mind. The class that we had before this, was that the Art of Shifting Consciousness? Was that just 4 months ago? That was a 4-month class that I think was one of the best things that I had ever done. And really to give us some kind of a context of how do you make a shift? What does it feel like? What does it look like? What are some exercises that we can do over and over and over again to get us used to shifting? And we had that class, and then we had this class. We're not going to have class next week, but then after that, John and I are both going to be teaching a class on spiritual mind treatment. It is what we do. And whether or not you treat every day or not, having the techniques and the ideas fine-tuned, I think is really valuable. If you don't treat or you're not comfortable with treatment, this will give you an opportunity to really master the art of spiritual mind treatment, and it will allow you to go at your own pace where you're not feeling like it's all being crammed on you. Here are 5 steps in 2 hours, and oh, let's take a break kind of thing. And it will also give us an opportunity to do spiritual mind treatment work for each other so that we can have that connection. And I know there are some people that are afraid of that, and that's okay. If you don't want to do it, you don't have to do it. We won't start to do it for a while. So it will be, it's not going to be a high confront kind of thing. But John did write the book on it, 5 Steps to Freedom. And those books will be in shortly. And if you want to, you can get one and he'll sign it for you, which is really kind of cool. And John and I haven't taught a class, I think, since last prosperity class. So that will be fun. And then we'll move into the prosperity class over the summer. We won't start that until later in July. I think it's the 3rd Monday that we start that class, and we do start it with a fire walk. So the fire walk will be, I think it's Monday, July 20th. If anyone has a calendar to check me, that would be great. At 7 o'clock, and we'll start it with the fire walk, and that's a great thing to bring your friends to and to have that experience. So that's kind of the schedule.
Is the treatment class, is that specifically going to be based on John's book?
Yes.
Or, okay.
Yes, it will be specifically based on John's book. If you want to have credit for these classes, you'll need to come and see me. If you plan on going forward into practitioner classes, something like that, and you want to say, I want my time marked, in some computer in Denver, and I want a piece of paper that shows that I did that, then after I get back from the beach, come and see me and we'll sit down and look at how that best fits into the current requirements of what is needed to go into practitioner class. July 20th is the fire walk.
Yes,
So-
that is
On a Monday.
Good. That was so far away.
Seems like it.
Although I am taking my coconut oil. I have high belief in coconut oil. You know, if you believe it, it's true.
That's right.
Coconut oil is a cure-all for everything.
So do we have 2 weeks between this class and the next class? So 2 weeks off and then it starts? Or
No.
just 1 week off?
Just 1 week, just 1 week. John and I are leaving for the beach right after the class, the last metaphysical interpretation of the Bible class tomorrow morning. He has promised to have the car packed and ready. Zoom, zoom, zoom.
He waves goodbye and run out the door.
Really.
So that, then the following class where you're gonna be teaching the spiritual mind treatment, what date is that?
I think it's the 13th of May.
It's the Monday after Mother's Day.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's the 11th?
The 11th.
It's the 11th. You'll be getting a postcard very soon, very soon.
Okay, thanks.
So Darcy, you wanted to make a quick announcement?
Oh, no, I was just asking if anybody was going to the Cryon seminar next Saturday.
What's that?
Cryon's a channeler?
No.
I guess not.
The answer is no.
Okay, no, I'm okay going by myself.
It sounds like an interplanetary kind of thing where you go to.
It could be, I've never seen him in person, so.
Okay, so I'm looking at this night. Yes, Kristen.
Are we doing random announcements?
Do you have a random synaptic fire in there? And it resulted in a physical reaction where you went, oh!
I found the signs in my textbook at Mr. K's Books for $8 and bought it because I assumed that somebody would not have one. So if you don't have one and would like one, come see me. It's in my car.
Is it the 36 or the 26? 37 or 26?
It's the one that we use. Like I checked, it's the same one that I have. It's just a different color
The same one that you use for what?
for all the classes. Like it's in alignment with the old classes that we used to
The
do.
old classes, so it's 1937 revised.
Yes, it's
Yes.
not the lesson one. It's the other
Yes,
one.
yes. The one that I use is the 1926. I
Okay.
like the lesson one.
It's not
So-
that one.
So, as we all focus here, I'm looking at tonight as a completion of both Creative Mind and Success. It's been since January, the beginning of January, that we've moved through basic science of mind. And what I am interested in is how have you changed over the last 4 months? What have you learned? How has your life changed? What is different about you today? Because for some period of time, however long you've been coming to this class, you got out of work or got up and got dressed or whatever and came here on a Monday night. What is it that has shifted for you in this class? And the reason that I do this is that so many times we'll have these great breakthroughs, we'll have these great experiences, and we discount them. We forget about them, we don't acknowledge them, and then we go back to the way that we were, or we think that we are the way that we were before, even if our outside circumstances have changed. I've had people come and ask me for treatment, I do the treatment demonstrates, and they don't even realize a few weeks later that they had that demonstration. And then this is part of our human amnesia in terms of evolving into our spiritual reality. And so part of this fear of success, wanting to hold ourselves back, is not to keep giving us pats on the back, but to say, oh no, that didn't really happen, or that was a coincidence, or that would have happened anyway. I'm really not different, I haven't evolved, I haven't grown. And I say to you, you are different, you have evolved, you have grown. You have a different life today than you did 4 months ago, than you did at Christmas time. And if you can acknowledge that, if you can sit there and think, Well, what is different? Well, I've got a new job, I've got a lot more money, I'm living in a great place, I'm in a wonderful relationship, my body feels fantastic, and I'm happy. Maybe that is something that would serve you and everybody else in the room to anchor in and acknowledge that you have made changes in your life over this time. So I'm very interested. You want to share, Carrie? You want to come up front?
Oh, okay. Why
All right, Carrie.
Yay, Carrie. So that everyone can hear.
Okay.
I just did this.
No, I was having two thoughts that I wanted to share, because since December, one of my biggest things was I have baby goats. But the funny thing is that as my does were, pregnant and stuff, I would always talk to them in the morning. I would talk to their bellies, and I would say, "Hey, baby does, how are you?" Because I wanted baby does. You want in the goat world, you want does, you don't want bucks.
Girl power.
It's how it is. But so when they were born, I ended up having, besides 2 extra that I was not thinking I was going to have, out of the 5 baby goats that I had 4 girls and 1 boy.
Yeah.
So, which a lot of my friends in the goat world were like, "Oh, it's first timers luck." I'm like,
That's
"No."
perfect.
I did that. So that was one of my things. And another thing has to do kind of just recently is that I quit my job.
Whoa.
So,
At Stony Brook?
at Stony Knob.
Stony Knob?
Oh,
Yep.
yes.
There were just some negative things happening, and I tried to stand up for it, and
Do you feel good about that?
Yes.
Yay,
I was just trying to stand up for myself and for the other girls, and didn't get good feedback from that. So I decided to leave the negative situation, and so that kind of filtered over. I talked with Dan a lot about it before I did it, because he is also trying to start up, or he's been trying to start up a business and getting the money flow. So it was like, "Ooh, should I do it?" And he's like, "No, let's just get the negativity out of our lives. We don't need it." So I have found though that I've also been able to get back into meditating more, because I got really into having to take care of the goats, milk, and then go to work. And so I was kind of slacking on the meditating part, so I started doing that again. And I also, with the whole Dan and my no job thing, there have been times when I'm like, oh, maybe I wonder if that was a good idea. Maybe a little fear pops up because we have a mortgage to pay and bills and stuff. But I just got rid of that, and I did my meditation. I was actually just telling Heather this evening that there was one day, I think it was like at the end of last week, where I was reading Science of Mind, and one of their affirmations for that day was, "My life is full of miraculous happenings every day." And so that's what I meditated on that day. And then I got to go and pay my mortgage, but the little bit of fear had come up, but I let it go, and we went to our mailbox, and I ran out, got it, jumped back in the truck, and I told Dan, because one of my affirmations right now is spirit is all source and all supply. I turned to him and said that, and then showed him a $500 check that just showed up in the mail from our mortgage company. So I was like, so things changed, and I'm in a different place, definitely, and just kind of, it's a good time too. Dan keeps bringing it up that this is a great time to not have my job, because I'm planting and getting everything in the ground and dealing with the goats and the animals, and so I'm getting caught up on all that stuff.
Yay, Carrie. Good for you, good for you. Who else? Come on up, Jane.
Oh, okay.
I might as well let you know if you're gonna share, you're gonna come up so people can see you and hear you.
Oh, okay. They can send me to hear me.
Come on. Stand right here.
Oh, okay, over here. Okay. Hold this.
Oh, okay. What's happened is, it's really kind of small, but for me it's a big deal. I've always had trouble reading philosophy and religion, and instead of reading it, you know, I read it and with no comprehension, and then I make up things, which people seem to like, and so I just glided through several schools and everything doing that. So anyway, but I really have been very determined to read something and understand it, you know, religious thought. And so I had that book, 365, and so I really every morning I would underline it and do this and that. And so I was very excited about it. And then, of course, I lost it. Gone. So I just thought, well, okay, I never am very strong about reality anyway. If things happen in reality, I just let them drift and go and disappear, and who cares? And so, but the thing is, I had a glimmer, maybe I left the book here at the center. And that's to me is a big deal. I mean, most people, if they leave something, they remember it. You know, oh, I remember it, you know, but not me. I have no idea of where I've left anything.
In the past.
In the past. So that's what I'm working on. So I had this idea, I left it in the center, so I did. I phoned Nancy, and by heavens, yes, they found it was drifting around on a Sunday morning in the, you know, in the Welcome Center. And so I was so thrilled. I thought, at last, you know, I've lost something in this real world that I'm so terrible about. But
In the past.
now, in the past, but now I remember and I found it, and I did, and I have it right now in my book.
So you have reading comprehension and retention, brain function restored to you. That's huge.
Yeah, I'd love to have it. I mean,
That's huge. You have it. And you've been able to think to the level that you can remember what you did with something for the first time that you can remember.
yeah.
And then actually find it. Your brain has kicked in, Jane. Your brain has kicked in. Maybe it has something to do with you starting the morning by doing a treatment reading, an affirmation, setting an intention.
Yeah, could be.
Could be, it could be that this stuff really does work.
In reality, that's what I'm working on.
Who else?
Okay.
David and then Rick. Come on up.
Thank you. Thank you. I can think of two big changes in my life. Through coming to these classes and the readings and the talks and just the witnessing and the celebrations, etc. First of all, I've gotten where I'm much less likely to have expectations of other people that are necessary to make me happy. It really doesn't matter what they do or they don't do. What matters is my response to what has or hasn't happened, how I look at it. And that's a big one for me. And I'll take the extreme example of that. I finally gotten to a point in my life where I can really bless my ex-wife. There was a lot of hurt, there was a lot of anger, there was a lot of disappointment, sense of betrayal. But you know, that's kind of faded away, and now all I can feel is I bless her, and I want her to be happy, and I want her to be whole. That even though the marriage didn't work out, there's no reason to hang on to all that bitterness. It's a waste. And so I feel I'm coming to the point in time where I can just let that go and honestly and sincerely bless her with whatever's going on in her life. And that's huge. That's huge to let go of that. And the other thing is, I think I've gotten to the point where I'm starting to shed all the worry. That's just a waste of time too, worry. After all, if you have faith and you believe there is a divine presence and you're centered within that, the only thing you have to do is wake up and be aware of it. And everything else will work out. You know, like Proverbs 3 something says that, in all thy ways seek him, and he will direct your path. and it's what's gonna work out, and you just don't, you know, your life is going to work out. You know, we're eternally evolving. You know, you've got so much to look forward to. And I guess I'll finalize it with the best is yet to be. I really believe that.
Yay. Are you summering in New York?
Oh, yes.
Bye-bye.
I'm back, I hope.
Rick? Let me hand you this, and let me go ahead and clip this. That way you guys don't have to hold it.
Oh. I came to the center here last August, and things have been kind of financially tight for my wife and I. And I started coming to the center, my wife not so much. It's, I volunteered for the kitchen crew, you know, baking and whatnot. And I just, well, Saturday I was in the right place at the right time. So I got hired up, I do the cleanup here now, and that helped fabulously. And then more recently, it came into my domain to do the grass cutting and outside lawn maintenance and stuff like that. That helps a lot too. But what really, the energy here to, you know, I've worked many places, and this is just, it's more than a breath of fresh air. It's just the energy and people that I meet while I'm going about my business here and everything. It's just, I'm very thankful. It's not just the money, it's the becoming a part of everything. And I've noticed with my thinking, I've been using the thought, the truth actually is the first step of spiritual mind treatment, is that love is all there is. It's all inclusive. And when I start coming up with these feelings of being less than, or well, I can't do that, or, you know, I catch myself. I don't know if anybody's ever seen that Bob Newhart thing on YouTube. It's a five-minute psychotherapy. And woman starts telling her story, and he says, well, stop it. And she, what? He says, stop it. Don't go there. You know, he says, okay, what's your next problem? So, you know, and I do that with myself. But that first step in the treatment, that really helps. I just, you know, imagine the expansiveness, and it includes everything, everybody, and there's no room for anything less than that, so.
And after you leave, your love is in every corner.
And the floors have never looked nicer.
And the floors have never looked nicer.
Or the tables.
Well, and that's because you love this place, as opposed to a cleaning company that's just trying to, you know, get in from 1 to 3 in the morning and go on to their next place. There's love here. And whenever you open up to that, then it blesses you, it blesses us, it blesses everybody. Who else? Elise and Kristen and who had their hand up? Margot. Great, come on up. If you want, that way you're not trying to hold it.
All right. Since I've been coming here, a lot of things have changed, and I feel like shown me how it really is possible to make things that you want to have happen. Last summer, so when we first did vision boards, when was that? Like last?
That was when we were doing the secret. That was a long time ago.
I made this vision board.
2007.
Well, I guess I wasn't there then.
Oh.
When I first did one, it was probably like last winter or something like that. And I really wanted to travel a lot, and so I took a magazine of all these national parks and stuff and made this vision board, and then it all worked out that last summer I got to quit my job and go traveling for 3 months to all these, like, the same national parks that I put on the vision board. And figured out how to make money out there and stuff, and yeah, it was great. And then they gave me my job back when I came back, which was pretty amazing. I didn't really expect that to happen. And
That's awesome.
everything worked out good. Like, there was definitely some challenges, but you know, we worked through it. And then, sort of while I was on that trip, I was like, bartending, serving. I kind of want to do something else. You know, I'm like, I'm gonna figure out what I want to do on this trip. It's kind of like that's what I was focusing on. So we came back, and they gave me my old job back, and then I just got a really good job just like 3 weeks ago, or you know, probably a month ago, of like something I've never done before, something I didn't go to school for, and it just kind of fell into my lap, and it's pretty crazy. So it's just like you just choose. I've just focused on one thing at a time, and I think that's a good way to do it. Just focus on one thing, and then get that done, and focus on the next one, instead of trying to focus on everything at once. So it should be that it's really possible to make things happen.
What's your new
That's
job?
where you went,
What's your
3 months in the summer.
What's your new job?
What's your new job?
I'm the PR director of Green Man Brewery.
Wow.
Green Man Brewery.
A brewery. Oh, good for you, good for you.
Okay, so I wrote a list on my hand because I always sit back down and go, oh, that was what I wanted to say. So it's kind of been a big 4 months. I've talked several times about like saying no when I want to say no, and just like the amount of clarity that's kind of come from that, and like how much faster now it is to know what I want to say, and also to like the awareness that's come from like this is gonna be bad if I don't say no kind of thing, whereas like before it was I would do something anyways and it would end really poorly and I'd be like, oh, I knew that, why didn't I listen? So that's kind of nice. And then just the like amount of non-attachment I've had to other people and situations, and just letting go and just allowing what is, and not trying to control other people mainly, and just knowing that they're gonna do whatever they're gonna do, and there's nothing I can do about it, and just, you know, really being okay with that, and knowing that I am who I am, no matter what, and I'm clear that I am divine, and it doesn't matter what they do, because I'm okay with myself no matter what, and just like coming back to that center. And then you guys always talk about in prosperity class, unexpected checks in the mail, and I'm always like, nobody's ever gonna send me a check for anything, like, I don't even pay bills with checks, like, and I had 3 unexpected checks in the mail from like, one was from a company I'd never even heard of, I don't even know where it came from, so that was pretty awesome. And lots of little manifestations like that. I've also been going to the chiropractor, which in conjunction with everything else, and I'm not in pain from my car accident 2 years ago for the first time in 2 years. And then the last thing that's kind of cool is I've been really working on like healing stuff and doing treatment for other people, and really having treatment just kind of be infused in my day versus like something, like I do have a time that I set aside for like practice, but like just having it be this thing that is kind of always there, the whole pray without ceasing sort of mentality. And I've been working on treating for other people in my life that aren't in science of mind necessarily, but I have a friend who has this like blood clot thing on her leg, and you can totally like see it, and they're wanting to do surgery, and I've been like doing like a sort of a mix of like treatment and oneness blessing and tantra and like just a bunch of stuff that I'm kind of all certified in, and like doing it all sort of together, and it's like shrunk by half in like 2 treatments of what I'm doing, which is really cool, because if she could not need surgery, that'd be awesome. And then I had another friend that like had a moment in a bar the other night and was like crying and really upset, and I just kind of gave her a hug and like did a treatment into her ear really quick, and then like she completely calmed down, and like the whole situation resolved itself like within 30 seconds of it ending, and it was all good, and I was like, yes, in a bar, 1 a.m. Yeah, so it's just been this really cool experience of like working on the healing, sort of infusing it throughout my day kind of thing.
Good for you. This is so great, so great. You know, if you can't do it in a bar, it doesn't work. Earlier this month, I went down to Florida on vacation. While I was there, I rented a car to go see my older brother, who has Alzheimer's. And his nurse happened to call while I was there and wanted to know, could I be at the next consultation? So I said, sure. And she said he's at the point where he really can't live by himself anymore, it's not safe. So after I came home from vacation, I spent a lot of time thinking about him, and I decided I'm gonna go down to Florida and stay with him until he has to go into assisted living, because I know if they take him out of his home now, he'll just disintegrate. And if it hadn't been for these classes, I would have thrown up all the objections why I can't do that. I can't quit my job. I can't just leave my life. I can't just leave my house. And things have just fallen into place. Amika happens to be living in my house, and she's going to be staying and living at my house. And she's going to graciously take care of one of my dogs for me because I can't take them both with me. And my boss is going to give me my job back when I come back if I want it. And I found a great replacement for my job, the person. And also my brother's going to pay me to take care of him so that I can make up the income that I'm losing. But I never would have been able to do that. But I just knew inside myself that it's the right thing to do. And I want to do this for my brother so that he can have quality of life for as long as he can stay in his own home. And love will show the way. Love will show the way. And Amika, you got a dog?
On my own?
No. I don't. You still want a dog?
Yes.
Okay. Because I was treating for you for a dog.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so you got a dog. Is this the dog? Perfect Boston Terriers out here somewhere. Who else? Darcy, come on up. This is great. You know, you cannot focus on something week after week after week and not have demonstrations in your life.
I just want to say that I'm feeling happier in life than I've ever been. I made a promise to myself that I would do my spiritual mind treatments on a regular basis, so I've been doing them every day. I've been doing that manifestation oath as well. I love that thing. So I feel like it's going to have good results in my life. But I think over the last 4 months, I've just kind of settled down a little bit and allowed the process to happen without trying to control things. In my job, for the longest time, I was so fearful about being let go, even though I made my numbers all the time. There was a lot of political stuff going on and everything, but I'm just feeling really good about things, really, really good about things. I feel good about myself, I feel good about where I'm living. My job is going well. Every year from my job, we set our own goals and objectives, and so when I set my goals and objectives, I already tell myself, well, these are already made, so don't worry about them, and then sometimes I worry when I don't hit a month, but I'm so far ahead right now that things just continue to keep getting better and better, and I give it all up to the center, because without the center and the support and all of you people and the lessons and the feedback and everything else, I don't feel like I'd be half the person that I am, and I'm very, very happy now. My life just keeps getting better, and those tithing checks keep getting better as well. So,
Set the law in motion, Darcy.
Amen. I found out too this year I had one of the best tax returns I've ever had, and a lot of it was because of my tithe.
Yes.
My tithe came back to me in my check at the end of the year, so now I've got some money to do some improvements at my house, like planting new trees and sprucing it up a little bit, so I'm excited.
Yeah, you don't.
What's the manifestation of?
We did it on Sunday, a few weeks ago, when I came back from Ed Ween's. Is it still on the Welcome Center? Darcy's gonna go look and see if it's on the Welcome Center. Ed Ween had us repeating it there every day.
I don't see any out here, Barbara.
Yeah, we need that.
It's really awesome, I think.
Great.
I love it.
What is that?
Great.
I was here for that talk, I just don't remember that.
We look like it's online, would we find it?
Probably, it's from Agape. It's from the Agape Spiritual Center. It's called the Oath of Manifestation. The Oath of Manifestation. And other than that, call the office and ask Nancy to go into my computer, since I will be gone, and search for Oath of Manifestation and print out a bunch more.
Can I just do it at the break?
Do what?
Go get it and print it
Get it off of my computer?
at the break?
Sure.
Okay.
I don't know where it is, because I have 3 computers from years ago put together in my computer to attempt to reconstruct my computer. I'm still calling my purple laptop back. I know that it's here, I claim it, I call it for it, I accept it, and I give thanks for it, with an intact hard drive and all of my information. And so it is.
She has a copy, so I'll just go photocopy.
There you, just go photocopy, great, great. Who else, who else? Deb, Kathy, and Cheryl.
Since I've been coming here and started with the classes and whatnot, been doing a lot of thinking about the past, and thoughts are things, and what you think about manifests, and so it brought me back to thinking about my 2 ex-husbands and my life, and how I was responsible for things that were happening, how I allowed them, and my thoughts about what was going to happen, and so that brought me to thinking, okay, change your thinking, change, what it is you want, what you're thinking about, and lo and behold, good things come when I'm thinking about good things. And it's, and I've known that, and I've, heard that for years and whatnot, but it finally came to more of a realization that, oh, yeah, I could finally start feeling it instead. So that's been really, really huge, and so been able to forgive, because it was my doing. And so like in the last few months, and like in the last 4 months or so, more, I started thinking about, okay, so what, good things have happened in the last 4 months. And I take classes over at the Writer Center, the College for Seniors, and you register for these classes, and there's, hundreds of people, and you wait in line to, get the class. It's like going to, real college. Line up at 6 o'clock in the morning to start registering at 8. And, but this last time now for spring, there was bad weather, so we didn't have to do it. We just, brought our papers in, whatever we wanted to register for. I got all the classes I wanted, every one of them, and that's never happened before. And I got a check from my mortgage company, but it wasn't 500, it was just 164. And, but then they reduced my monthly payment by $50.
Well, that's a great deal.
Yeah. And, I got the courage to drop my cable, because I never watched very little TV, and Jon Stewart is about the only thing I watch on cable. So I took the big step of dropping my cable, so that reduced that bill by another $50 a month. And so just little things like that, just, keep getting better and better, and, yeah, so it's great.
I wonder if there's gonna be a Pew Research come out that has a correlation between cable cancellations and Jon Stewart leaving the Daily Show. Because really, he is the most watched news program.
I know.
But there is, and when news breaks, he fixes it. Who else? Who else? Kathy, come on up.
I was just thinking the last couple of months, what has changed, because a lot has changed since I've been here. But the last couple of months, the biggest thing for me, I grew up Roman Catholic, and every aunt and uncle I had was a Monsignor, a Mother Superior, I knew my brother's a priest, the whole bit. And the philosophy that I learned is I'm a child of God. But since these classes, I learned that I am God. So that's been huge for me. So,
Who else? Cheryl, come on up.
yes.
So I'm relatively new. I started coming to the center beginning of December. I think the biggest shift for me was learning that I'm creating all of this. And as Barbara said last week, apparently, when I did some looking, I was lying to myself because I was thinking that there was something out there that was stopping or not giving me what I was looking for. So I really had to start doing some looking and some shifting of things, and I've been coming to these classes, and I've been coming on Sundays, and I've learned how to do the spiritual mind treatments, and I've been almost daily doing those. I won't say 100%, but I've done that. And when I look back on what's different is, let's see, I've got my property tax reduced. I think the most amazing thing was there was this online herbal coaching program that I wanted to take. And I told myself that I couldn't do that because it was financially, I couldn't do it. And I saw that they had an opportunity for scholarships. And the deadline had passed, and the classes had already started, and I decided to apply anyway. And about 2 weeks later, I got a notice that I received a scholarship for 50% off the tuition. So I was able to enroll in the program. And today, I got a promotion at work. I've been probably 2 years trying to get a more meaningful job. Finally came. So lots of good things are happening, so thank you.
All right.
This is good. This is good. When you shift your thoughts and your feelings, when you just decide to get happy, to relax, to know that everything is going to be okay, things change, things that you didn't know were going to change. You have surprises in your life. And it doesn't really matter to me whether your income goes up or your expenses go down, as long as you are able to have more than enough and do what you want to do. I'm so impressed with you, Elise. You went for 3 months to the exact same places that you had on your vision board. That's amazing, that's wonderful,
I didn't
that's
even
so
realize it was
great.
the same places until I came home and looked at the vision board and I was like, oh.
I was there. That's wonderful. Let's take a break. Darcy, once again, has brought food, and thank you. And if you have more to share after the break, just let me know. I'm going to the beach. Rick, where are the paper towels for the bathroom?
They're right here under the counter there.
Turn it on. And then just push the red button. Why don't we share?
Because it feels good.
Because it feels good. It feels good. Somebody else may be in the same boat.
Or somebody maybe new and need to hear that this is working.
I love it.
This is what
I love it. I love that you can spend a couple of days a week being reminded of who you are, and things change in your world. You get a $500 check from your mortgage company. You know, something changes. You go, where did Elise go?
She gave went today, she's tired.
Okay. You get to go where the places on your vision board are. You get to not worry about your job. You get to forgive your ex-wife. You get to have money and breathe that sigh of relief that everything is going to be okay. You get to go and let love be the main motivator in your life. Your brain works. You know, all of these things. This is so important that just by showing up somewhere, and I know not always everybody is like, oh yes, Barbara, that is absolutely right on. Sometimes people are always about change your thinking, change your life, be mindful, pay attention, step up, have the courage to step out on faith, just do it. But when you do that, then your life changes and things shift. And so when we share, then not only do we get, and this is a bit of neuro-linguistic programming, I'm having you anchor your accomplishments in your own psyche. And not only does it anchor in you, but it anchors in everyone else too. And so everybody gets to share in the demonstrations and the accomplishments, but most of all, and most important to me, is that you get it. Because I have seen so many people have amazing growth and they discount it. So I don't want you to do that. So is there anyone else that wants to share? Come on up. Tom. Yeah, you're a musician. You know about microphones.
I do. And I wrote a song called Do It Right Now. When your energy's rising, your dream begins to come true. And you know that whatever you want you can do. When your light gets bright, you can see beyond people's lives and expand your mind to just about any size. So, one day I'll do it full blast rock and roll for you all here.
Okay.
But what I've learned, I like coming here because I like being in a positive atmosphere and everybody, thinking good stuff. It's really wonderful. And I can't say I'm a newbie. I mean, way back when I was 18 years old, I learned I manifest my life, manifest my dream. So mostly it's just been tweaking it to where, I don't manifest paranoid thoughts about things, really. And still working on that, but it's pretty good these days. And I guess I realized that I could really manifest anything I thought about, no matter how weird or amazing, whatever, I could manifest it. You know, I got to go out with Jane Mansfield and jam with Jimi Hendrix and play at Madison Square Garden, manifest whatever I want, you know, going in limousines or whatever. So the physical plane was not a priority for me. So I pretty much manifested weird stuff just to see if I could do it. And then I thought people would really enjoy, you know, hearing my weird stories. But pretty much, generally, I got, oh, you know, you must be ego tripping or crazy or something like that. And so now I just don't care what people think.
Yay!
Yeah, because you know, the people pleasing was a thing for me, and I think I'm getting over it.
Come on up, Andy.
Okay, yes, it's classes that we're talking about. I realized while I was sitting here
You talk with your hands.
that some things happened that are good. I moved from a one-bedroom apartment to a three-bedroom house with a big fenced-in yard for the dog for the same amount of money.
Yay, yay,
Yeah. I was like, and I've started dating for the first time in about 5 years,
All right.
Wow.
which is nice, encouraging. And going on my first vacation in 5 years. I'm going to Belize May 1st through May 9th for the same amount of money it would cost to go to the beach. At North, you know, that's what it's called. It's really cheap.
Yay.
And the other thing is, I used to have my dog. He's a really big, active dog. I used to have him pretty well trained, and I kind of let it slide, and I've gotten injured a few times. So I made the decision to commit to get him back to where he used to be, and it's happening really fast, and it feels really, really good. Really good. So there's probably more, but that's all I remember.
Who else? This is good. This is good. When you know, it sounds so simplistic, but this stuff really does work, and that's one reason I want you in the spiritual mindfulness class, because when you focus your creative energy, your attention, your thoughts, your feelings, your ability to accept the possibility that something completely outrageous could happen. When you do that, you command the power of the entire universe, and it's huge. You know, if you look at all of the stories that were shared here tonight, there are so many things that if we piled them all up, we would be able to go, wow, you know, how in the world can we market this to people so that more people can get that if they indulge in their paranoid thoughts, they get the result of that. And if they simply start thinking about, well, let me see, if love is all that there is, then maybe my ex really is part of the love. And if I'm not feeling the love, maybe it's me. I remember, Rick, when you shared about the bagel, about how you noticed that you were upset with your wife because you were helping her and you burned the bagel and that you picked the bagel. And maybe that said something about where you were in your life. Maybe you don't want to pick the bagel. That was huge. And to be able to have that kind of awareness and that kind of choice allows us to have all the cool things in life. And we're going to cycle around to the prosperity class before you know it, and it's gonna be all rah, 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 you can have what you want, you can do what you want, you can go where you want, you can be where you want, you can reach out and pull money out of the sky. And that will bring a lot of people into this room. But where we go is when you can have the feeling, and when you can have the thought, and when you can have the self-discipline to choose that thought, even in a bar at 1 o'clock in the morning, then you can have the result of that thought and that feeling and that choice. And money then is a byproduct. Money is not the focus of it any longer. And when you have the self-discipline to every day, and it's not like, oh, I'm going to the gym, unless you really love to go to the gym, and then it's, I'm going to the gym. But when you can do your spiritual mind treatment, and John and I, sometimes we're in a hurry, we just treat the day. Today is the happy day, it's the best day ever, everything unfolds in ease and grace, everything is all together, there's a lot of laughter today, we eat well today, we feel good today, and so it is, and off we go. You know, whether you're doing a quickie treatment like that, or whether it's a 45-minute process where you're really moving into a state that is beyond this physical realm, when you do that, stuff happens. And so thank you for everyone who shared, because if stuff doesn't happen, we're not doing it. Because when you do it, stuff happens. And so if people come to me and say this stuff doesn't work, it's like, no, it works great. You're not doing it. You're not doing it. Because when you're willing to say, I'm going to have just a little different perspective on this. I'm going to consider that there's peace and love and joy right here and right now. I'm going to open up to a greater awareness of who I am. When you do that, things cannot help but change. And they change for not only you, but they change for other people in your life. And I would be willing to bet that you sitting here in this class have not only had changes in your life, but those changes have bled over to touch the lives of others around you. You know, we want to be light bearers in the world. Well, great, let's shine. And if we shine, the people around us are going to see more clearly. Even if it's, boy, you're really lucky. I wish I had your life. You know, well, let me show you how you can have that. That's how Chris and Dee met. Chris and Dee Anderson and Chris Anderson and Dee Brooks were working for the same company, and Chris said something. She was coming here, and she said something, you know, metaphysical, and Dee said, boy, if Walmart's not selling peace, I don't know where to find it. And Chris said, well, I'll help you. I'll help you find it. And she brought her here. You're absolutely right. And that's how their wonderful relationship and marriage started. Just because somebody said, I'd like to have a little of what you have, and the only place I know to get anything is at Walmart, and if they don't have it, I'm not getting it. You know, that was flippant, but it's so much, if I can't see it on television, if it's not at the movies, if I'm not hearing it in my circle of friends, then I don't know where to go to have peace and happiness and to relax about life and to not worry about it and to not be reactive to the circumstances around me. It's so huge. And so where you have gone is you have gone from grabbing at the outer manifestation to shifting the inner experience and then watching the outer manifestation naturally change. And we can do it both ways. But when you grab only for the outer manifestation, you've got to keep grabbing. And it's tiring, because you're always grabbing. And when you can move into a different state of consciousness, that you feel different, that you know everything's going to be okay, even if you have no idea how, it's going to be okay. The worst thing that can happen is we die, and that's, I've heard, great. You know, I've heard that's really fantastic. Having had a near-death experience, I was quite happy to keep on going. And then, boom, I was back in my body. So when we can have a sense of comfort in this life, ease in life, choice and empowerment in this life, so that we can pick and choose what we want to focus our attention on, and in so doing pick and choose the direction that our life goes, then we get the Bettys of that. You know, it's like we're standing there and there's all these different paths and each path has a different tree filled with fruit. Little Garden of Eden biblical overlay over here. And one path is covered with dead trees, you know, and one path is covered with what's good but not great. What?
Crab apples.
Crab apples. You can live off of them, but they don't taste very good. But you can survive. You can struggle through it, you know. Another path is covered with apple trees, and another path is covered with trees and berries and flowers and all of that. And you really do stand there and pick which path, and by picking your path, you get what comes with that path. You don't have to sit there and affirm that you've got apples and flowers and berries and whatever the other thing was I said. You don't have, what?
Flowers?
Flowers, yeah. You don't have to affirm that. You just have to go down that path. And when you go down that path, the path already has that with it. So if you let love lead the way, Margot, to take care of your brother, the love of that path is going to bring to you not only the equivalent of what you have here, but an abundance. It will bring you more than you have now because you're going down the path of love. And when you go down the path of forgiveness, it has fruits that go with that are already there waiting for you to walk down that path. And yet so many people still go down the path with the dead trees because they think that that's the only way because they've been down that path so many times. There's a whole field of psychology about people who will pick someone that will physically beat them up and put them in the hospital. And how they do that, that's walking down the path of dead trees. It's like my first husband, no matter what business arrangement he found himself in, he always managed to lose everything and more. And he would just pick that and walk down that path. And I realized if I was ever going to have anything, I had to get away from that path. And that's when I moved from Central Florida to Eugene, Oregon. I was affecting a geographical change, and I brought myself with me. I know that, but I had to get away from that path and try to find a different way, a different path. And it took 2 weeks to walk into a Science of Mind Center. And for me to hear things that I always knew were true, but I had never heard put into words before. So what I want you to know is that as we go into this treatment class, I really strongly encourage you to come so that you can incorporate really good spiritual mind treatments into your daily life. Not just affirmations. Affirmations are kindergarten. Spiritual mind treatment will take you places that you maybe have never been before. Although I think Tom goes regularly. You go places. I mean, I was talking last week about, was it in this class? I was talking about John. I was in the Tuesday morning class. When we, what?
You're always talking about
When we decided to bring the two organizations together, and we did daily, without fail, spiritual mind treatment for that, and we would just throw it in with the mix, and I know that the organizations, United Centers for Spiritual Living and International Centers for Spiritual Living are now one. It sounded ridiculous. It just sounded ridiculous. It was ridiculous. There were people still fighting, people yelling at each other. Certain practitioners were not allowed to go into the other group's centers, and that's in Southern California where there's a Science of Mind Center on every corner, like there's a Baptist church here. They're covered with Science of Mind Centers. It sounded ridiculous, and yet today, they're one. And when John said, I want to be president, I really made him think about it. You have got to be really sure that you want to do this before I'm going to treat for it. And then we treated for that every day. And there were times when it was totally impossible that he would ever be elected. Yeah, there you go. And yet he is. And then there are people who have had cancer. We have a woman in our center who had a 5% chance of surviving, period. 5% chance. And for years and years and years, she has been totally cancer-free. You know, she does the tests, she has them check her, she's totally cancer-free. To have someone look at that would, in the mind of the normal human being, would say that's impossible, and here it is just as a given. And so what spiritual mind treatment does is it allows you to wrap your head around the ideas of the dreams that you want to bring into form. No matter how impossible or how ridiculous it may seem, to bring those dreams into form. One of my students, Marcia McLean, is the minister of the West Palm Beach Center for Spiritual Living, and she, when she was in Pratt class, she wanted to have all of her credit card debt paid off. And by the way, she wanted to travel the world. Okay, those are pretty big. Okay. She got an offer from an old friend to be a steward on a private yacht that traveled the world. And 2 years later, not only did she have all of her debt paid off, she had a lot of money stuck in the bank because there's no place to spend money on a private yacht. And you have everything that you could possibly want. You know, when you can wrap your head around it, you allow the universe an avenue for it to come into form. And when you pick a path that says, I'm going to be happy, I don't know how, I'm going to be prosperous, I don't know how, I'm going to do what I want, I'm going to be the goat person, and I'm going to be happy and prosperous, all wrapped up together, I don't know how, but that's the path I'm going to take. And then you take that path, and very often you go down the path and you don't see the fruit trees all over it yet, until you go around a curve, and then it just opens up. Wow, look, I picked this path, and it already has all of these things for me. And so that's what I want you to get in this teaching, is that yes, there's only one power and one presence, and whatever you want to call it, it is all in all, the circle with the top and the middle and the bottom, and the descent of spirit into form, and the ascent and evolution of man, and the constant rotation of creation and the constant process, and it's all about you, and it's your thought and your word and your intention and your direction, and you can do it. It's not, it's all of that, and yet it's so much deeper than that. So what I want you to get is that you are moving into a state of livingness, and that state comes with certain bennies. So you don't have to chase money down the road. You don't have to chase happiness. You don't have to chase love. You don't have to chase health and wholeness. That by moving into that state of consciousness and living in that world, that is provided. And that's what you were saying, you know, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and all else will be added unto you. Seek ye first wisdom. And isn't that what you said? Seek ye first wisdom, and all of that, all of the other things will come. Will come unto you. So what you are doing is you're saying, where am I in this? I loved what you said, Cheryl, about, wow, Barbara says I'm creating all of this. Really?
Hard knock at first.
Yeah, that's a big, big thing. Well, if I am, therein lies the freedom. If I am, then what can I do so that I can create it in a way that I want? Yes, and that's very brave.
There was actually hope, because it gave me hope that there was a way to do it differently, instead of having to feel that something, I had no power to change it. So realizing it was scary, but it was also providing me hope as to I can actually do it differently.
Right, and you can. Once you're aware, then you have choice. If you're not aware, there's no choice. And that's what comes up for me when I think about people around the world, is they don't know they have choice. They just don't know. And that's why I get so excited when I find out that we have an average of 40 to 50,000 hits on our website every month. Every month.
That's awesome.
That is. I mean, that stopped me in my tracks. 40 to 50,000. Now, all of those don't equal a person, and they all don't download a book or listen to a class, but a lot of them do. And in doing that, they get the idea that they have choice, and it gives them hope. And whereas hope is not where we want to stay, it certainly is a big step up from no hope, because then you start to say, maybe, isn't that what hope is? Maybe something can shift. Maybe things really can be different. And in that cracking of the door, everything changes. It's like standing in a dark room, cracking the door to a lighted room, the light comes pouring in. Whereas if you stand in a lighted room and crack the room to a dark room, darkness never comes flooding in. Interesting about that. So in that, people start to get a sense that there's a choice. So that's what I want you to do. I want you to anchor in that you have made choices and that your life has reflected the demonstrations, the outpicturings of those choices, and that you are on the right path. And if you don't like the path that you're on, you can always turn around and get on another path. There are infinite paths, but everything comes with everything that it needs. You know, you cannot have the desire to, who's going where? You're going to Belize. You cannot have the desire to take a vacation and not have the fulfillment of the desire coexisting at the same time with the desire. Otherwise, you would want something that didn't exist. And there would be an empty hole in the universe. God would not be all that there was. Time and space would have ceased to ever form. And we would never have come here to have the desire. So the fact that you can have a desire means that that which you desire already exists. You just have to find the right path. You can't have the fruits of the path of your desire if you keep going down the path with the dead trees. You know, you can't do that. You've got to find the right path, and that's one of the things that we do, and that's why we go over the same thing over and over and over again. What are you thinking? What are you feeling? Where is your Scotch tape that is so embedded into the glass that you can't even see it anymore? You've got to get a razor blade and try to pick at it and see if it's there. What is going on inside of you that is taking you down a different path than the one you know you belong on? Well, I don't know if the fulfillment of my desire is there. It has to be. No matter what it is you're desiring, the fulfillment has to be there for you to ever have the desire. Isn't that great? It's pure quantum physics. That's why I can say I know that God is in this place, because you are here. If God wasn't in this place, you couldn't be here. The fact that you exist and the fact that you are here is a confirmation of the presence of the divine. It's kind of heady. It's, you know, it's big. It's big. Kathy.
I'm reading the 365 book, and I go to the class on Sunday, which is an amazing class.
10 o'clock, 10 to 10:30 in the building next door.
It really is a really cool class. But they had an analogy that I just remembered about God having a bank account. He has a bank account for you, and it's unlimited, and whenever you need to draw on it, it's always there. So it's kind of like a cool concept, you know, it helped me anyway, you know that God is all there is, and it's there. All you have to do is withdraw it.
Right?
The account is there.
And a spiritual bank account, the more you take out, the more goes in. Not like a physical bank account. Yes, yes, a spiritual bank account is open, more keeps pouring in. Was that a hand or was that a stretch? Okay, okay. Anything else? Good, 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 good. Do you have any questions? I feel like we're coming to kind of a completion cycle here. I want to make sure you're all clear before I turn you loose. Rick.
I read a really good thing in the recent Science Mind magazine. It's great. The writer suggested that
every time something happens, whether you deem it good or not, I did that. And just get in the habit of doing it. Every time a coincidence happens, it's really not, I did that. Yeah, it did. I've been kind of playing doing that. It was,
Sure, that's a neuro-linguistic programming anchoring device. I did that. You get the parking space, I did that. You find what you're looking for on the shelf, I did that. You bump into a friend, I did that. Over and over and over again. Give yourself a pat on the back, take your power for what you're doing. You came to class, you did that. Oh, Barbara's here, I did that. You did that. Thank you, good. Margaret.
One of the things that I've noticed that Sherry does consistently is she always says, I choose. If we go out to a restaurant, she'll say, I choose to have whatever, because she's constantly reinforcing in her mind that she's always at choice. So I started doing that too, and I think that makes a huge difference, because it just helps you get it, that you are choosing by every thought that you have, in every action that you take. And so she does that all the time. I choose to do this, I don't choose to do that, or I choose not to participate, or whatever.
Right.
It really makes
I've said to her, have a great day, and she said, I choose to.
Yeah.
Yes, you do.
You could say, I choose to be angry.
Sure.
Yeah.
I like, if I'm angry, I will say I'm doing anger.
Oh, boy.
I'm doing some frustration right now. I'm doing some anger right now. Bob.
Yeah, it's tying into that same thing. My thing was like, I have to do this. It's always back in my mind. And I stopped myself and I says, I don't have to do anything.
Right.
I choose to do it.
Right.
And then I've also learned when I start, I do it with alacrity, just with joy and emotion, just go for it. I just tear through it.
Right.
And
Mine
so
is I
totally
get
different.
to.
I get that.
I get to.
I get
Like
to.
you said, I get to go pay my mortgage payment. Yes. David and then Kristen.
Well, just to follow up on what Margot was saying is, if a person has a really bad habit that they're trying to overcome, like smoking or whatever, compulsive behavior, you start saying, I choose that cigarette. I choose that cigarette. And what you're doing is empowering yourself so that at some point you say, I choose not to have that cigarette,
Right, the first step of stopping smoking is to smoke and be very mindful. Pay attention to every part of it. Taking the cigarette out of the pack, feeling it in your mouth, lighting it, inhaling, exhaling. You're so mindful of it that you stop being unconscious. And once you're conscious, you move into choice. Yes, Kristen.
What I've noticed kind of with the whole choosing on that same thread is I feel less stuck in everything too. Like, oh, well, I could go get another job, I still want to be here, or like, I could go buy a new car today, I just still like this car, and it just kind of opens up, like, I feel like I have a world of possibilities at all times, even though I'm still staying with what I'm doing.
Right.
It's nice.
People come up to my office and they try to convince me that they have a choice, that they're stuck, that they have to, and I said, is it somebody have a gun to your head? Is there somebody that I'm not seeing that has a loaded pistol up to your head that you have to? You don't have to do this. Or I can't. I said, if you really needed to, you could. You could. If someone had your child and you had to do this to get that child back, you would find a way. So it's all about choice. It's all about paying attention, being aware of where we are. Who's got their hand up? Margot.
Another thing that I've started doing is when I go out shopping, and I used to always say, oh, I can't afford that, I can't afford that. And now I've just turned it around and I say, I can afford that, but I choose not to spend my money in that way. And it just makes it feel different, I'm not depriving myself of anything, I'm making a conscious choice not to buy something that I probably don't even really need to begin with. But,
Sure, you just want it because someone inside of your head is saying you can't have it.
Right.
Right. That's with kids. Don't ever tell them you can't afford something. Tell them you're not gonna buy it for them. Have some guts in the position there. No, I am not gonna spend my money on that for you. That's not going to change me. And then you bring them here and they learn how to demonstrate their own money and how to get their own stuff. Isaac Rubin had a car before he had a license because he took classes and he learned, he said, money is easy. Yeah, so on your own inner self, don't tell yourself you can't afford it. Tell yourself you're not going to buy it, or buy it.
I deserve it.
Or buy it, yeah, if you want it, it's okay to have it. And you do not live in a limited universe, and if you spend money, there will still be money left. There will be more. You have an infinite bank account, if you can wrap your head around it. You know, pick the path that you go down and the trees are covered with gold coins. Which one do you want? This is good. Yes, Jane?
No, I just, when I first started doing affirmations, they always worked, and it just scared the heck out
I know. I know. It's that fear of success we were talking about last week. That we're not afraid of failing, we're afraid of our greatness.
of me.
Yes.
This is horrifying.
Well, back then it was, but now you're embracing it.
Yes, I'm getting better at it.
Yes, you are. Listen to you just come up with that all by yourself. Good for you. Good for you. Anybody else before we close? No? It's been a great class. Take out what you're going to give. Oh, I said I would make you a recording of Creative Mind and Success. I have demonstrated a professional actress, Emily Shawls, to begin making recordings for me. And the first one she's going to make is Creative Mind and Success in a studio. And as soon as she is done, we will have CDs free for all of you and anyone else who wants them.
Yay. Yay.
Really, because it takes a couple of weeks to do one of those little books. So, what I know is that the presence of Spirit is right here and right now, infinite, abundant, prosperous in every way. I know there are no coincidences, and we are here by divine appointment. I know that we open to that idea that we are on our perfect and right path, and we look around and there are gold coins and fruit and berries and flowers and French bakeries and restaurants and people and parties and all of the wonderful things in life. That we are on our perfect and right path, and we think the thoughts that keep us going forward. We have our hearts open and love leads our way. And all is well in our world. And I know that as we come together this night, we give out of that consciousness of knowing who we are. That money is a byproduct of that knowing, and we have more than enough to go, to do, to buy, to be, whatever it is we choose. I know that the universe delights in supporting us in every way. And so we give our gift this night, knowing that each one of us comes together to make this center all that it was ever meant to be. It is a place of peace, a beacon of light, a tower of strength, and a fountain of wisdom that touches the lives of all who call it home. And so it is. So it is. Breathe it in. Breathe it in. We have changed. We have shifted. We have expanded. We have grown. We have released that which does not work for us. And we have opened to the greater I am. And in that growth and expansion, that greater sense of self, we are blessed. And as we are blessed, whatever we give carries with it the blessing that we are. So I know that that incredible light that each of us has, that wisdom and intuition, that power that we are, comes forth from us as we give our gift. It fills up this room from the floor to the ceiling and all between the walls. This air is rich and blessed with God as us. It touches us. It blesses us, it heals us, it awakens us, it quickens us, it lifts us. And then it goes on out to touch, to bless, to heal, to quicken, to awake, and to uplift every being on this planet. Our lives are one. Touches everyone here tonight, everyone who's ever been here, and everyone yet to come. And so it is. I love you. Have a wonderful couple of weeks.